Pasco County Sheriff's Office has settled a lawsuit that brings to an end the department's predictive policing program. The initiative used data to predict who might be likely to commit crimes. Officers would then monitor and sometimes harass those people. For a while, the Sheriff's Office had access to the Pasco School District's student data, such as grades and attendance, to advance this effort. This week, the Sheriff's Office agreed to pay $105,000 to 4 plaintiffs who sued over the program. The plaintiffs alleged that their constitutional rights were violated after they became targets of the sheriff's prolific offender program. People on the list and their families were subjected to prolific offender checks, during which deputies looked to cite them for issues like having grass that was too high, missing house numbers, unvaccinated pets, and excessive window tint on parked cars. The agency's program was the subject of a 2020 Tampa Bay Times investigation, which won the Pulitzer Prize for its reporting. A Pasco Sheriff's Office spokesperson said in a statement this week that the settlement was strictly a financial decision because costs for trial could have reached millions of dollars paid for by taxpayers. And Eric, let's start there. Do you think it was a financial decision to save taxpayers' money?
Well, who knows? One suspects that they thought that they were probably going to lose anyway. But here is another example of the effectiveness of traditional reporting. They spent a lot of time looking through documents and body cam video and all kinds of things to really figure out what exactly police were doing in order to do this predictive policing stuff, because it wasn't obvious. And then once they revealed it, it still took 4 years to get to this resolution. So, kudos to the Tampa Bay Times and the reporters there for unearthing this. And shame on the police department for taking so long to own up to something that's obviously crossing a line. And even within the stories, people were quoted as saying, the goal was to harass people to the point where they either moved or sued the police department, which seems to be a terrible policy.
Mitch, I was looking at the Pasco County crime records this week, and most of Pasco County is pretty much low crime. I mean, there are a few pockets of high crime, but it's not endemic throughout the whole county.
Yeah, they did resist this. They kind of had a defiant statement about this, but this was like that movie Minority Report. Remember that, the Steven Spielberg movie from like 20 years ago? And it was really insidious, and I'm glad it was exposed. And I came across a tweet last night that Matt Gaetz put out when this trial began, and he basically said that Ron DeSantis should think about firing the chief of police or the sheriff there in Pasco County. I don't think he's going to do that, but this actually united folks on the left and right and thinking this is pretty outrageous what was going on there.
Yeah, and it was the Institute for Justice, which is kind of a libertarian version of the ACLU, that brought the lawsuit against Pasco County.
Absolutely, yeah.
Janelle, what do you think of this?
Pasco County is ruby red, and the sheriff there is, maybe not quite as beloved as in Polk County, but it's our Pasco. I always get the P's confused. So you've seen outrage publicly, but I think within the community, the sheriff still has a lot of support. There's a lot of community efforts going on with feeding people during the holidays and things like that, and then other events throughout the year that are high profile, that's what people tend to notice more, unless you're one of those who are targeted, of course. So, I think it's just another one of those situations where there doesn't seem to be a political consequence for these types of actions.
We have just 30 seconds, Ray.
I would say, that defiant statement, they said they would never apologize for keeping their community safe, but yet they settled this lawsuit. To your point, they do get a lot of support. Why not just say, in a world where we want to trust police more, why not say, yes, this probably wasn't the best thing for us to do publicly. You don't lose anything. In fact, you probably earn so much more trust.